this time I could be here. The nicest thing about treat retreat is it's such a forgiving technique, because if you make a mistake, you'll only make it once. The dog either won't come forward and take the treat, he'll say, I don't feel safe doing that, in which case you can send thumb the other way. Or he'll come in, take it, but he'll show you that was too much. And then you just make sure the next one's bigger, further away, safer. So you'll only make one bobble. And the dog gets so many repetitions, they're very forgiving. And this is all about them. Okay, next slide. So this is a little field spaniel. So he's got his little edge near me where he says, I feel safe. Remember I talked before about I want to see this dog standing in balance. So I'm judging as he comes back and orients to me, and he says I can hold my balance. I'm not leaning away, that we're probably in an okay spot. That's his owner in the back there. So I can send the dog back and forth in his safe fur zone. The trick here is that the dog is not moving fearfully away from me, so we're not activating that part of the nucleus accumbens. We're sending him in seeking mode towards something he wants to get to. And this is a big and significant difference. And it was Temple Grandin who watched me presenting this, who said, oh, well, the reason that works is, I was like, oh, if you weren't Temple Grandin, I would hug you, but you are, so I won't. I'll just be forever grateful that you tuned me into that really cool part. Okay. So this goes on like this for a while. The dog is free to walk away. And the other thing that happens when you send him back real far into the zone like that, I was trying to ask the owner, could you call him? I'm running out of chicken. Oh yes, she says. So I had to reload. This is very typical of what happens. The dog's like, please, I'm busy. They tune their owner out, and he's like, well, so I had to make it really clear, my body language. I'm really sorry, buddy. I don't need more food. I'm not playing that game with you right now. So that clip was now, I've reloaded. And he says, all right, do we have chicken yet? There we go. You've got it right when the dog says, well, I could do a few more rounds. We were good with that. We were all right. He's like, oh, all right, we're back to this game. All right, lady. And it's harder than you think to throw bits of chicken. Sometimes they get stuck on and I'm like, sorry. You see the dogs are like, well, take your time. We're good. The worst are the toy dogs where you can only send them like a billionth of a something. It's like, it's got to be some magical treat that you can flick. So the only rule is the treat has to be one that's really top value. I often use like cheap chuck roast that I've cooked liver on top of in the crock pot till it all does some horrible thing. Yeah, it's bad, but the dogs love it. And I usually want it so it has a decent contrast with the floor. So if you think about this dog, how many repetitions he's getting, he says, oh, well, I could be that close to a human. Who knew? One of the issues that we had was his person was very gregarious and very outgoing. She's a really lovely Brazilian woman. So she would approach people and not notice that he stopped. He often stopped and then fed out the whole length of the leash going, I can't get any closer. She's like, come on, you're okay. He's like, no, I'm not. So it was really important to give this little guy this stuff. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So it goes on like this for a while. Just hit the space bar and it should go right over. There you go. All right, go ahead and click on this. This is a 9-month-old bearded collie, lovely little dog. It started growling at judges in the show. So this is her up to she's making the rounds by herself in the class. Hey, how are you? How's it going? Got any cookies? So the people have been asked to build a little duration when she gets there. And when she's done with one person, the next person calls her. So it's hard looking at this dog to think, wow, that this dog would even be growling or hesitant about approaching people. She thinks this is the bestest game ever. It's lovely. In fact, I saw her about a year later, and she said, you know what, after that class, she never growled at anybody again. She just approaches people and goes, I know how to do that. I know how to do that if there's 3 of you standing together, if you're walking, if you're talking, She understood it. Okay, next slide. All right, so this is another point where we're going to be looming. And Bill Wilson here is one of the best loomers on the planet. He's really tall, so it's like having Lurch train your dogs. So he's deliberately, for Babe, looming, playing rude dog person. And Babe says, yeah, okay. And this is the most important part, was that Babe learned how to walk away. It sounds so odd, but one of the things that the anxious and fearful dog needs to know is how to walk away, how to end a conversation and say, it's been good, but I have to go. They can get so stuck in a conversation. This is where the dogs approach, they're liking it, and then they start to growl. And they say, I'm not liking this anymore, but they don't know how to get out of it. He was presented as a dog who had begun, when people approached him, he had begun snapping at people. And again, after this class, he never snapped again. And you can see he's not having trouble with people looming. He's enjoying this immensely. And that was the sad part. She was so puzzled because this is a dog who really loves people. But he got himself way in over his skill level. Once we gave him the skills, he was not a particularly anxious or fearful dog, but the whole setting of meeting people made him anxious. All right, go on to the next slide. This is literally, we ran the class in January, February. This is, I think, October. Babe has seen none of these people since then, and they are all coming in making a whopper of a noise. Hey, how's it going? Yay, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has any food, and I wanted to see what his response was to just people and people moving and petting him and saying hi. And this is where you see the skill. He knows how to approach. If he feels uncomfortable, he knows how to exit. And you can certainly see in his body language, he's not particularly feeling distressed. In fact, he's thinking this is all right. But where are the cookies? So this dog literally had 5 sessions in that class. So sum total, maybe 30 minutes each class was devoted to Babe. So I really like treat, retreat. For the sociable dog, it just gives them more skills. So those of you who don't have dogs that are particularly anxious, but they're just butt heads, they're not quite sure what to do, it gives them more skills. For the dogs that are less sociable, don't really like people, it again gives them the skills because they're gonna probably be asked to meet people over their lifetime. So when you can build their confidence to approach for cookies, and they understand this game, they're much more willing to go along with that plan. And wherever the dog has more skills, the dog literally has more safety. It just comes down to that. All right, so when we put these things in perspective,